ladies and gentlemen, is the aftermath of Charlie Kirk being assassinated in the United States of America just a couple days ago. Mind my raspy voice. I came down with a pretty serious illness the last couple days. I've been fevery and very sick. Actually, the night that he got assassinated, I started coming down with this, but I'm getting a little bit better now, and I had some things on my mind about the problem with the left that I wanted to address. I'm Tall, the traveling clad, your favorite white colonizer, Zionist prince, coming to you live from Israel. I had some thoughts about everything that's been unraveling since Charlie Kirk was so violently assassinated. And what we've seen at the behest of the left, mostly since October 7th, right? We have seen this escalation from the left in ways that we really can't deny is happening as a global community. And it's a particular leftism that's happening, I would say, in the Western world, but in the United States specifically, especially in liberal cities and in big cities in the United States of America, that's particularly cancerous. I want to start by talking about Turning Point USA that Charlie Kirk founded, and we'll transition slowly into what the problem with the left is. But when we look at the right, and I want to address very quickly, I don't find myself on either side of the spectrum. Call me a fence sitter, call me whatever the fuck you want, I do not care. I never felt like I aligned with the right totally, I never felt like I aligned with the left totally. And I come from what I would call a conservative household. My parents are Israelis. They usually lean more conservative, especially Mizrahi Jews who immigrate to the United States, which my parents did, usually lean more right-wing. But I never felt like I identified neither with the right nor with the left. Definitely not with the left. There's more things on the right that I agree with, but I definitely don't feel like I align with either side. But when I look at Turning Point USA, there's a clear identity on that side of the spectrum. It's a very, very clear set of morals that are established for this community. They were able to organize and come together over certain ideals. Identity being one of them, over God. This is something the left has never done. And when I talk about the left, I'm talking about this new age leftism that has started since I graduated high school in 2014, since I've become a man, since the age of TikTok, which has been plaguing our entire humanity for the last 5-6 years, has become a prominent place where people intake media. This new age leftism has never identified itself with clear morals, values, the things that it wants to operate by, a code of conduct. It doesn't have that. When you look at organizations like Turning Point, or you look at the right or conservatism, it's built on shared values of God, love for the country, nationalism. And whether you're in Poland or in Israel or in America, those shared values are usually brought with it. So, for example, if you have a conservative or somebody who aligns with the ideals of a movement like Turning Point USA in Israel, they'll be a Zionist, happy to serve in the IDF, to support the IDF. Regardless of if the country is making bad decisions, they will never go against the state. They will never kowtow towards a terrorist group like Hamas, the way that you see even the left in Israel do, where they will hold hands with Hamas to make their point against the government. And you see the same exact thing in America. It's this idea of being on the border of anarchy, which I feel like is one of the main issues the left has at the moment. It's too mixed. It's too fragmented. There's too many identities with conflicting goals. For example, things like Islamism, communism, LGBTQ, and leftism. All these different identities, they literally cannot coexist with one another. They can't. You can try to find some form of Islamic, communist, LGBTQ leftism, but it goes back to the meme of chickens for KFC. the snake ends up eating its own tail and then swallowing itself and killing itself. It's not a movement that has any future, which, in my reason or in my belief, is why you end up with political assassinations like this, where the only option is I can't have discourse, I can't have a debate, I can't win a debate, I can't defend my ideas. I have to silence the other side. It's the same idea with Islamism. Look at the Muslims that I debate on this channel on a regular basis. 90% of the time, they end up dropping out of the conversation and leaving when I'm pointing the truth in their face. The other 5% is split between yelling or threatening me with physical violence. And the small minority, 5%, are able to actually sit down and have a conversation. But 95% of that gap are either running away from the truth, which is a big portion of it. It's probably the biggest portion. And there's that other 5% reserved. Sorry, if I pause, it's because I'm coughing. I don't want you guys to hear all this. That other 5% are reserved for people who want violence, who want to attack me for having a conversation, which is a very real thing. I deal with it all the time. I'm getting death threats on a daily basis. And I've been since October 7th. I really, truly believe this is why the left doesn't have a future. This is the main issue with the left. Now, I'm a person who believes in balance, even in Judaism. And, I've traveled a lot through Asia, and I've studied a little bit of different religions like Buddhism and Hinduism. I spent a lot of time, if you look on this channel, you'll see I spend a lot of time sitting with different cultures and religions, trying to learn the doctrines and the dogmas of different people around the world. And especially in Eastern religions and Eastern cultures, I really like this concept of the idea of balance. The pendulum swings right and left, but it always centers itself back in the middle. Right, and this is always the best indication to me of a well put together person. Somebody who finds himself in the middle, rejecting doctrines from both the right and the left, because you can't be too much right and too much left. You have to find yourself somewhere in the middle. That to me is the indication of a person who's well put together. Now, again, no judgment against people on the right or on the left. When I look at the left, it seems like it's a movement that's going to eat itself up and destroy itself from the inside. It doesn't have a future. But eventually that pendulum will have to balance back out to the right. And I think that's what we're seeing now. And then eventually that right will go too extreme and have to balance itself back in the left. But it always has to pass through the center. Always has to balance through the middle. Find that balance. Find that point of gravity. I think that after this assassination of Charlie Kirk, the future is bright for conservatives in the West, for conservatives in America. I think it's bright for people on the right side of the aisle, and I think it's very, very dark for people on the left. This whole scenario, this terrible assassination, just made the right so much more powerful. You martyred someone for them. You gave the right all the ammo that they need. You gave them the entire ammunition they've ever needed to pull a serious fight against you. And like I said the other day, this has invigorated me to fight. Because while I don't align on the right myself with all of my ideas, absolutely not, I reject the left wholeheartedly. The left is now my clear-cut enemy. I am an enemy of the left, and the left is my enemy. And to me, there can be no reconciliation at the moment. It needs to be war. And I'm not talking about a civil war. I'm not talking about going out and fighting in the streets with guns. But it needs to be attacking the left more rigorously. You've created a bunch of Charlie Kirks. And here's the thing. When I look at the left, I see people who are incapable of having conversations most of the time. It's very rare that I find people on the left who are able to have conversations with me about these things. It's usually not having conversations at all, running away, or cursing. It's usually not people who can have a conversation, especially not a civil conversation about these topics. So I want to employ the same exact tactics that I employ against the Arab world to try to get them to come to the table, which is rampant aggression. Charlie Kirk was a civil debater, very civil. The man never cursed, he never shouted. And what's been going through my head the last couple of days, as I've been bedridden and sick, I've had a lot of time to think, watching videos nonstop. I mean, the day after, I was literally just tearing the entire day, just tears coming out of my eyes. I was also very sick with a fever, but it was pretty much with tears in my eyes the entire day. I was thinking so much. It's like, I have watched hours of this man debating. And he was so respectful. He never cursed. He never made fun of people. He never called people retarded or said, fuck you, called people a bitch. Never cursed at them. If that's what he got, what the hell is reserved for me? Look at how I come on here. Look how I manage myself during debates. And I believe in what I'm doing. But what does the left have stored for me? What does the left have reserved for me? And when I say the left, by the way, in this situation, I'm saying the combination of the left, which is this wildly retarded LGBTQ doctrine, which is not LGBTQ, because by all means, I believe in the right of people who identify as lesbian or gay or trans or whatever to exist. I love them. I have no problem with them. Zero issues. But whatever the LGBTQ thing on the left is, which you guys know what I'm talking about, and that cross-section of the Islamists on the left, and then this communist lefties coming together, what do they have reserved for Tal? If they had reserved for Charlie Kirk an assassination in front of a bunch of people, in front of his wife and kids, in front of the whole world, and then going on social media and celebrating it, singing songs, making content to celebrate it, what is reserved for Tal? Or for Ben Shapiro? Or for Dave Rubin? For Barack, Sar, Abraham Hamra, Tamer? For all my peers who are in this zone together, what is reserved for us? This is the question I've been asking the last couple of days. I just turned down a bunch of opportunities to go to America to speak on college campuses. Like 3 or 4 came in the last month. And I turned them down because I'm genuinely too busy. And I'm so busy on building what I'm doing here on YouTube up more and more and more. I literally don't even want to beat off the path of going to America right now. That's how serious I am about continuing to grow this platform that I'm working on here. But I've been thinking in the back of my head, I've made enough enemies online. What is waiting for me out there? What is reserved for us? We're a bunch of us are Jews or Zionists. So on top of that, being labeled as right or conservative or far-right Nazis, what the hell is waiting for us? What does the left have in store for us? So you just created a bunch of monsters. On October 7th, and again, this is the main issue with the left. On October 7th, they thought that killing and massacring everything that Hamas did and the whole world going towards Palestine was going to shut us up, was going to get us to stop supporting Israel, to cower in fear. They thought we were going to leave the country in mass when hundreds of thousands of us flocked back here, including myself, who had no plans of coming back to live in Israel anytime soon in my life. Hundreds of thousands of us came back to live here in spite of you. What now, bitch? What now? You've assassinated somebody who inspired, including myself, inspired hundreds of millions of people around the world. And we all have an opportunity to amplify his message now. So the problem on the left is that they've just created a martyr so powerful. They have a lot of enemies on the other side. And again, while I don't consider myself on the right, I'm your enemy now. I'm not coming to have good faith conversations. I'm not coming to have good faith debates. I'm coming to attack your ideas aggressively. I'm coming to tear you down. I'm coming to make you feel stupid. And I know many of my peers that are either on the right or in the center, or even some on the left, are coming to do the same exact thing. The left just created a bunch of new enemies. It just spawned out of existence a bunch of new conservatives and Charlie Kirks. Those ideas aren't going anywhere. And I think if the response from the left generally would have been a little bit more, let's say, not deranged, more put together, I don't think the response would be as bad as it is. But it's going to be bad. And I fully support the idea of it. I've been sitting and I've been thinking about it for the last 3-4 days. I'm fully in support of this idea of coming back and coming back stronger. And I think that's what we should all do. The left doesn't have a future, not in America. In Europe, you could say that most of European society is kind of left. And not to smite you guys who are on the right in Europe, but even you guys on the right in Europe, kind of lefty for America. Again, I'm not trying to generalize everyone, but it's kind of the baseline. So I think there is a future for the left in Europe, because it's maybe a little bit more normal in some ways. But this leftism, communism, Islamism, gay, LGBTQ combination, too many fractures. It's not going to survive in America. I don't think it has a future. As everyone's been quoting, this is going to be a turning point in history. I really believe in that. It's definitely going to be a turning point for me. It's woken me up big time for my own protection and how I'm going to be moving forward in these kinds of events when it comes to me doing public speaking and things. And I'm nowhere near the platform of Charlie, but still, I think it's woken up a lot of us. So many of us for the last couple of days have been having internal conversations on safety and our futures, and are we on a list somewhere? Who's coming to hunt us down? Our families. Scary concepts, which you don't necessarily know you're signing up for when you start becoming an advocate. You don't think about these things. You just kind of do what feels natural. So, it's a intense, scary future ahead, but I believe overwhelmingly positive if it means the fall of the left is coming, and I truly believe that it is. Those are some of my thoughts. I just kind of wanted to have a straight talk conversation with you. I think I'm going to probably do more of these, especially if this episode is successful. I will see you guys in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, Klats.
Even my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.